moms, we're excited to announce Playdate and Tell, where the coffee's never hot, the kids are always loud, and the moms, well, we've got opinions. This is the part of Truth Moms where we invite true moms, because motherhood doesn't come with a filter, so neither do we. We're diving into the real, raw, hilarious, and sometimes, holy crap, how are we still standing world of motherhood. So whether you're in the carpool, or stepping over Legos, or in the middle of a meltdown, grab your lukewarm latte, hide in the bathroom if you have to, and let's get into it.
Today's guest is Marist Lamson, a writer, branding expert, and founder of Marist Inc. and Actualize, a lifestyle brand and marketing company where she helps people show up online with raw authenticity. Born and raised in Georgia and now living in Nashville with her husband, Andrew, Marist is here to share the deeply personal story of her son, Harvey, conceived after 9 years of waiting. Harvey's pregnancy came with an IUGR diagnosis at 24 weeks and ended in a heartbreaking stillbirth at 35 weeks. Known for her honest storytelling and transparency, Marist shared every single step of Harvey's journey online in real time. She's grateful to continue sharing about him and her love for him by coming on this podcast to tell his story. Through her vulnerability, she hopes to bring comfort to other moms navigating stillbirth, high-risk pregnancies, or the fear of loss. Marist loves walking her Germantown neighborhood, cooking, and cozy nights in with her husband and cats. Before we dive in, I just want to give a trigger warning that this episode includes conversations around infant loss.
So basically at this appointment, it was a matter of like, okay, you're 34 weeks. Do we want to take him out now? And I was like, take him out.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to take him out. I was like, let's take him out. I was like, this has been like a lot. I was like, he's 34 weeks. I was like, wait, this is amazing. Like, people have babies at 28 weeks, at 20 weeks. Like, I was like, please just, let's take him out. And then she convinced me. She said, oh, I don't want to cry. But she told me, she was like, his ability to eat and feed would be drastically better at 35 weeks than 34 weeks. And so she was like, if we keep him in one more week, he's gonna like latch a lot better and be able to feed better. And so I said, okay. And I went to MFM a couple days later. And again, they're like, he looks great. I'll never forget it. The MFM doctor was like, Marist, like, I think we're doing it. I think you're going to make it to 37 weeks. And I made a post that day and I was like, this is the best I've felt like my whole pregnancy. Like, I'm so hopeful and excited. And then that weekend, I was like, okay, I'm feeling great. Like, this is great. Like, he might get delivered next week at 35 weeks, but he's going to be able to feed. Or, like, I just can't believe I've made it this close to 37 weeks. And so then I was, like, getting the house ready. We, like, opened up all of our gifts from the baby shower and everything. We, like, got everything organized. Like, we were washing like the bottles and like just literally we set everything up. And like, we live in like a little house in the city, and so we didn't have like a separate room for Harvey, so I had to be like so creative about like his little crib and like all the different things and like how we organized everything. So we basically spent those 2 days like doing that. Like Sunday, we did a little bit Saturday, and then Sunday. And Saturday, he was kicking me so much, like, all day. And I was like, oh, my gosh, like, he's so happy. We're happy. Like, whatever. Like, yeah. And then Sunday was when we were doing the bulk of that. And Andrew was helping my sister, like, move a couch. So I was doing a little bit more than I normally would. And I was also wearing my belly band, which I didn't always wear unless we were on a walk, but I was wearing it, like, all day. And I think that's relevant to say because I feel like when I was wearing my belly band, I, like, convinced myself I wouldn't be able to feel his kicks as much. Like, if I was, like, moving around and wearing a belly band, like, I was just, like, I don't know. Like, all my focus was more so on the fact that the belly band, like, felt tight. So I do remember, like, when he got home, like, I felt, like, a really hard kick, and, like, we were laughing about it. Like, I was like, whoa, like, Harvey is, like, I don't know, like, just kicked me so hard. And then we, like, showered. I was, like, literally, like, folding all his clothes. And we were just, like, talking about, like, all his little clothes and how we were so excited, like, hanging them up and, like, putting them away. And then we sat down on the couch and we were going to watch the last episode of White Lotus, I remember. And I had gotten done eating. Andrew had, like, cooked while, like, I literally, like, was making stories, like, I can't wait to teach Harvey how to cook. It's going to be, like, our favorite thing to do. And then, like, we sat down on the couch. Like, I literally put on this sweatshirt that said Cool Moms Club that my friend had got me for the baby shower that I had washed. And I was sitting on the couch, and when I got done eating, I was like, that's so weird. Like, I've been moving around all day, like, and I always would feel Harvey around that time. And that's what they tell you is, like, the only thing I had control over was to count kicks. And I, like, refused to, like, blame myself for being so busy that day and, like, not being as aware, because I mainly would feel him at night anyway. But when I was, like, sitting there, I was like, I don't know, I was like, I can't start this episode. I was like, I told Andrew, I was like, I'm gonna be, like, paranoid this whole episode unless we, like, use the little at-home Doppler and do it, which we always did. And we would always record it, and then we would, like, manually count it. Like, I never trusted the Doppler thing, but we would count, like, we would record 30 seconds and then, like, count. And we did it for so long, and I could not find his heartbeat. And I just was like, I don't feel good about this. And Andrew was just like, well, let's just, like, go to the ER. And I stood up and I was, like, fanning myself, and I was just, like, so pregnant, and I was just thinking, like, so, like, uncomfortable in my own body. So I was like, we're gonna go there and, like, find out that, like, he doesn't have his heart right. And Andrew was like, no, like, don't say that. Like, I'm sure everything's going to be fine. Every time we've gone, it's fine. And I was like, Andrew, like, I didn't want to leave. I just, like, knew that I was going to go there and find that out. And when I got there, it was, like, 11:30. And every other appointment, too, like, we would end up in, like, this bright room, and it just, like, seemed a lot more cheerful. The room they walk me back to, they make Andrew always hang back first, because they always ask you, like, the domestic violence questions, whatever. And so they hadn't brought him back yet. They were doing the non-stress thing. The girl couldn't find it. Like, she was moving it all around, like, couldn't find it. So they're like, we need to bring in the on-floor OB to do the ultrasound. And he came in, and every person who's been to an ultrasound, at least certainly how many I'd been to, I know exactly where to look for if the heart is beating or not. Like, I can see his little body and, like, see, and I, like, did not see it beating. And the doctor did not turn around. Like, no one was saying anything to me. It was, like, so dark in there. It was, like, the weekend where there was, like, all these tornadoes. So it was, like, all the tornado watches were on the TV. The room was literally, like, pitch black, and Andrew wasn't there. And I literally was like, you don't see a heartbeat, do you? And then the doctor just waited so long, and then he was like, I can't find any cardiac activity. And then he told someone to hurry and get Andrew. And so, like, Andrew walked in, and I had to tell him, like, right when he walked in, I was like, they can't find his heartbeat. And then Andrew just, like, broke down. And I immediately, like, my honest to God, like, immediate reaction was, I was just like, was always supposed to happen this way. Like, that's, like, what I felt. Like, I was like, this was always his story. Because that's what I had been telling myself. Like, every week, I was like, no matter what. Like, whether he lives till he's 2, or he's 12, or he's 25, or he's 101. Like, whatever his, like, soul's journey and, like, purpose is like, gonna be this. So, I remember, like, that is, like, I felt that, and it overcame me completely. But then there's my husband, who, like, is finding out that he just lost his son, and I can't, like, make him think that, like, I don't know how he's gonna react to this, you know what I'm saying? And, like, if you know, Andrew and I were, like, literally one person. Like, we work together, we're together 24/7, like, we share a brain, like, we're literally, like, so in sync. It's not, I pretty much know everything he's thinking, but I was like, this is, like, I remember feeling more terrified about, like, is this going to, like, somehow rip us apart? Because you don't know how death of a child can, like, affect like a partnership. Like, and I didn't know, and he was like so excited to have a son. Obviously we're obsessed with Harvey, and I knew how I was going to handle it, but I was like, this is also happening to Andrew. And like, I was more concerned about him than literally anything. I just remember like looking at him and like just being like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to like comfort him and process things. And then I literally was like, I need to call people. I literally like I had Andrew call my mom. And that was like so heartbreaking because my mom's getting a phone call from Andrew at like 11:30 on a Sunday. So she obviously thinks I'm like in labor. So she was so excited, and she was like, oh my gosh, hi Andrew. And she was like, Tom, Andrew's on the phone. Come here. And then she was like, what's going on? Like so high pitched. And I was like, and Andrew was just like, I don't know, like we lost Harvey or something. And you could tell that she like didn't know what we said or like didn't understand what we said, and he had to like say it again. I don't even remember that conversation. I tried to call my twin. She didn't answer. Like Alex wasn't answering her husband. And then I called Courtney. I was like, we have to call Courtney. I just like needed to talk to you because you'd like advocated for me the whole time. Like I didn't know what to do in that situation. Not that I like expected I guess I like expected Courtney to say something to like help me, like, because she was always grounding me. Like you were always helping me ground myself in like all the different scenarios. And even when I was like handling things one way, like Courtney was really great at giving me perspective of like, well, you could do this, or like maybe do this, or she was just like really like Marist, advocate for yourself. And I did need that. Like the one thing I did need was not the toxic positivity, but like Courtney's voice being like, it's okay to advocate for yourself. So like 1000%, like you did that the whole time. So I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is worst case scenario. And yeah, I just remember calling Courtney. I don't even remember what I said.
You just said that sorry. You were just like, we lost Harvey. His heart stopped beating. I didn't feel him kick me all day. And I just remember just stopping and looking at Justin in bed because I think we were watching White Lotus actually. And like, I just can't imagine. And I wanted to say something, but there's nothing you can say in those moments. And like, it was just so, it was a lot. Like,
yeah,
you know, it was a lot. I didn't know.
Do anything?
I was like, please, like, I don't know what to do in this and I want to do something. Please let me know if I can do something. Let me know what you need. Like, I'm here. And like, you don't want to sit there. I remember I know I wanted to just let you heal and just kind of, you know, back off a little bit. And I knew that if you needed me, you'd come to me. But like, that's kind of how I handled it. But like, was behind the scenes, I was just like trying to do anything that I could, like, to help you.
Yeah, I do remember being like, I don't even know like what I'm gonna need, but like I know I can call you. So like I remember being so grateful for that.
And I contacted your sister and was like, please, like if you need help with anything, like please let me know. Just stuff like that where like I wasn't going to you and just, you know, opening up that wound. But that's all I could do. And I just felt so helpless. And I was so angry. Like I said before, I was so angry for you. And you're just a better person than I am when it comes to that, because I would have been so angry and you're just so at peace with everything. And what happened?
I felt like so
sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, you were there for me, like literally they're like everything. And I just like knew, because you're such like a strong person, and like for the ones especially that you love, like you're going to try and like pick up to take some of that like off of somebody so that they don't have to like carry like the full weight. And yeah, so I knew I had to call you, so I just like called you. I was talking to Andrew about that yesterday. I was like, I feel so bad about that, because I was like, I like ruined Courtney's night, like calling her and like telling her that. And I was like, I can't believe I didn't like wait to like tell her.
No. No.
Because that's just
do not feel that.
No, you know, when Courtney was going through her stuff, I will tell you from my perspective, to be that friend that gets that call, it's an honor to be able to share that with you, because all you want to do is just take that pain away.
I wanted to drive to the hospital. Yeah, like I just wanted to like wrap my arms around you, but it's just like I know she needs her space and it's not gonna help. But yeah. It's just, it is an honor. You're right. It is not her. I'm so sorry that it happened.
I know. It's like, I think it's like, it was like all the times that like I thought he was like, it's just like such a preventable thing. But like, I really can't like get,
you can't go
even let myself
you
like
can't,
get
you
mad
can't do
about
the
it
what
because
ifs.
it's
Yeah.
just not even like, I love the way that I genuinely felt in the moment, and I really do try and hold on to that, even though I had people being like, my friends that are lawyers in Nashville, like so many people being like, let's go, like let's get after him, you know. And I was just like, even like my doctor. So the worst thing in like the whole world was having to like be pregnant knowing he was dead for like 2 more days. And I was like really big. Like I keep talking about it, like he's small, but like he was 18 inches still. So like just because he didn't have like the weight on him, like he was still like
It was long.
he was so much bigger than I like thought he was.
I remember messaging you and you were like, I'm 20 weeks. And I was like, I'm not trying to say, like, I'm not trying to offend you, but you look a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Like you look big. This is just shocking me that he's so small.
Yeah.
Like,
so there was so much hope that like the measurements were wrong. And,
right.
like when he was going to be born, we were all going to be like, because they would tell you that, and I was hinting at this earlier, but like they can be off by a whole pound, like in scans.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm still like baffled. No one said they were sorry. Not the doctor, that whatever. Not the nurse doing. There's like 4 people in that room with us that night, and no one said we're so sorry for your loss. They didn't even actually officially say anything. Like I asked the doctor, so you don't see a heartbeat, do you?
Do they just walked out of the room?
Back to your bed.
They just like stood there. And then they brought in some other girl. This was also like truly probably the worst part of the whole entire thing is I guess like after they knew that he had passed, they had to get pictures of him. So I was sitting there, I'm not joking, for like 45 minutes of the most intense like pushing down on my belly to get every possible little picture that they needed to get for like documentation, while no one said anything. And Andrew was just holding my hands and we're just like bawling our eyes out. And the only reason I knew what happened was like she was like, okay, I got all my pictures. I didn't even know what was happening though, and I was like bawling my eyes out. No one was like, we're so sorry, like look, we know this is probably not something you want to do right now, but we need to like scan your belly to get all these measurements or pictures or whatever they were doing. Like no one said anything. And I'll never forget that. Like, but I do remember, I don't know why, but I remember being really worried about the doctor, being worried about me. So he came back in at some point and I was like, please don't worry about me like tonight when you go home. I was like, I really don't want you to be like worried about me. I was like, I'm going to be okay. Like, I really feel like this was supposed to happen. And he just was like, no, I am going to worry about you. Like, he was like, and I was like, I really just don't want, I was like, I promise you, like, we're going to make it through it. Like, I don't remember why, but I was like so concerned about that doctor. And he did say one thing. He said, just remember, people are going to say some really silly things to you when they find this out. And he said, just remember that they're doing like the best they can. And I was like, yeah, I already been there.
Yeah.
I was like, that is like a good reminder, whatever, to give people grace, like at this point or whatever. But then he was like, do you want to, he called my doctor and then he said, do you want to go home? Cause I don't know what's going to happen at that point. Right. I'm like, well, what happens now? This whole entire time, the way he was positioned and because he wasn't like big enough, like they didn't think he'd sustain natural birth or be able to like, you know, withstand that. So it was always on the game plan to have a C-section. So like, I don't know why, but I just like assume I'm still having a C-section, like that.
Why is it that they don't just do a C-section and they make you do a vaginal birth?
I guess like you could, but my doctor's reasoning was she was like, I don't want you, to me, having natural birth was 1,000 times scarier to me than just, I was like, well, they could just like put me under and like take the baby out and like I wouldn't have to like deal with all of that, you know?
Right.
So like, but she said that she didn't want me to have to go through all of the recovery of a C-section and having the scar and stuff as like a memory.
That's your choice.
Basically like what she said.
Because you like at this point, like you said, like you had not prepared for a vaginal birth. Like you were like a C-section, like you hadn't gone through the classes, like nothing.
I didn't do any pelvic floor in that show.
Yeah.
Later.
Oh,
but,
no.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. And at that point, I was just like, well, I was like, I don't know. I do remember, like, a lot of people when I was talking about C-sections, like, giving me their, like, horror stories, even though yours wasn't. Like, I do remember, like, so I was like, whatever. I was like, but then I was, like, in complete shock because I'm like, so here I am, like, whatever. Well, okay, so the doctor's like, do you want to go home or do you want to stay here? And I was like, I want to go home. I was like, I absolutely do not want to stay here overnight. So I went home, worst thing ever. Walking into, like, we had just gotten the whole entire house ready.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling my twin and Alex to come over because I, like, can't, whatever. I'm finally getting calls back from, like, all my siblings. I have four siblings, including my twin. So, like, my two older brothers and then my older sister. She was in Mexico at the time. She ended up calling me at, like, 2 a.m. She's the one that started Flex. So, like, everyone was calling me at different stages. So I was basically up the whole night. And I just remember, like, I was so terrified of going to sleep because I was like, I'm going to wake up and forget that this happened. Like, I'm just going to wake up and just think I'm still pregnant. And I was terrified of that. And I just, like, did not want that. So, like, we ended up staying up all night. And it was, like, Andrew and I were, like boomeranging emotions back and forth. Like, I would be losing it and he would be, like, solid as a rock. Then he would lose it and I would all of a sudden be solid as a rock. And I was, like, feeling really good about that. I was like, I'm really happy to see, like, we would have, like, brief moments where we would break down together, but it really was, like, just a natural, like, he would see me just, like, completely devastated and, like, just kind of, like, raise up and, like, be there for me and vice versa. So, like, I was super, super grateful for that because that truly was, like, my biggest fear. Like, how are we going to get through this together aside from, like, that I have to go through birth. So then the next morning, again, I had been sharing in real time this story, like, the whole time. So I knew that everybody knew that, like, that Monday, I had an appointment that Monday. This is Sunday night. Now we're Monday morning, and everyone would be expecting me to have the update or, like, am I going to have Harvey that day? And so it wasn't because of that. It was, like, truly, I asked myself and I asked Andrew, I was like, I want to share what happened last night. And, like, I'm feeling this, like, pull to, like, share in real time. Like, it just is, like, what I genuinely wanted to do. And Andrew is like, ultimately, like, if you want to share for that and you're not doing it because you think you owe it to people to, like, tell them, like, he was like, if that's going to make you feel better, do it. Literally, best thing I could have ever done in my entire life, because from that second forward that I shared that we lost Harvey, what we found out last night, and that I was going to see my doctor in a couple hours, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but basically I knew I was going to have to give birth to him and, like, not see him alive, and, like, I just didn't know, like, and I was terrified. Like, that is when I needed everyone to, like, lift me up and, like, needed the prayers. And I genuinely feel like when you have, like, a group of people praying for you, that you feel it. Like, I feel like you do feel that. And, like, I know that could be overwhelming for other people, so I'm not trying to, like, advocate. I'm just telling you, like,
for you needed
it was the best thing that I could have done. Like, so, like, Pastor Kevin Queen was my youth pastor when I lived in Georgia. And he's now, like, the main pastor of Cross Point here. So whenever, like, he was, like, my pastor and I was, like, 13. And then I was so excited when we moved to Nashville because he was, like, the pastor here.
Yeah.
So he saw that and he, like, immediately, like, called Andrew and was like, I want to talk to you guys, whatever. So we got to talk to Pastor Kevin on the way to the hospital. And I'll never forget that because he not only, like, prayed over us, and that was, like, super lifted me up, but he also told us a story about how, like, and I'm sure he shared this, but, like, his parents had lost their first son and then he was the next son. So it was, like, a hope story for me. Yeah. Like, I had a late term loss and then, like, he was, like, the next child, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and look at everything that, like, Pastor Kevin's doing to, like, impact the world, you know? So I just was so grateful to, like, have that information. It really gave me even more hope that, like, okay, like, loss does happen to other people. He shared, like, another couple with us who had like, a late term loss and that sort of thing. So all of those prayers and getting to, like, read the messages and comments, like, allowed me to not be alone in those hours. So I can't say how I would have felt, like, in the waiting period. We went to the doctor's office because I still didn't know what was happening. My OB came in. She was not working that day, but she, like, drove there to see us. Again, they put us in a room where, like, decided to do like the spotlight light, and everything else was like dark. Like they didn't turn on like the full lights of the thing. They just had like the weird spotlight. And I was just too devastated to like say anything. But I remember like rolling my eyes and being like, what is happening? Like, why are we keep getting put in like the worst rooms ever? Like, and then she came in and she basically gave me my option. So like, but she was like, normally, like, she was like, I would encourage you. Like, she's like, I know you're scared because you've never had birth, but she's like, I think that's like the best option. So I was like, okay. And so then I was super relieved to find out. So I went to Women's Centennial. So that's the hospital like downtown that like I gave birth. And they have like a separate section where it's just like a floor, an area of the hospital that's for people
with stillbirth.
And I was super relieved to find that out because I was like, I do not want to hear
a baby
other
crying.
people having babies while I'm in there. And so literally there was like nobody on that floor, and like all the rooms were, I was like, I'm the only one here having a stillbirth. I do remember because we were at like the end of the hall. So I was like walking down and I was like, of course, like I'm not even like in company with like other people, but I was like, whatever. So she walked us in there. I mean, I documented all of this. If anyone is like curious or hears this or whatever, like his whole IUGR journey, and like like while I was in the hospital, like when I was waiting to first get induced, like I was just like documenting and posting it like in real time, like my feelings, my thoughts, and like what they were doing. But yeah, they had to like manually or whatever, like induce me. I guess I could just say induce. They had to induce me. And they had to help me dilate. So that was like the weird thing.
Balloon?
They didn't do a balloon. They gave me like, they put some sort of like, they might be able to do different, they can do different tricks when the baby's not alive, that they couldn't do
if the baby was alive.
So they were giving me some sort of medicine or pill that like dissolved in me that would like, help me to dilate. It was specifically for dilating. Okay. And they had to do it every 12 hours. So they like insert it into you and they're like pushing down on your
this is a long process.
Yeah. Well, and depending on how fast you dilate, and I was like not dilating quickly. And so I was there.
Was it 2 days?
Yeah, I was there for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Like it was like a long thing. Yeah, it was just like a long thing. So because I gave birth to him on April 9th, but he lost his heartbeat on the 6th. So like if that tells you anything. But it was April 9th at 3:33 a.m.
Yeah.
Which I loved. He has like the cutest synchronicities his whole pregnancy.
His angel numbers.
Yeah, and his little angel numbers. He came right at 3:33. So yeah, it was just crazy because she ended up having to break my water and stuff too. I remember like that night, once we got to that point, she was like, I had to wait until I was dilated like a certain centimeter and then she could break my water. And then the girl was coming in. They predicted I would have him around like the 7 a.m. hour. So her next time to come in was 3:30 to give me a pill, but they had me monitored, and for whatever reason, like so that they could see how the contractions were going. And by the way, like I didn't want to feel not one thing. So I like not only got an epidural, but I was like, anytime
click that button.
I did. Yeah, I had the little button, and even then, like I would be doing the button, and then I would feel like whatever, and I was like calling. I had like the anesthesia. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Anesthesiologist, whatever.
Yeah.
That guy, like his name was Kale. He was super cool. I had him come up multiple. I was like, make it stronger. Like I was like, because I'm feeling stuff, and I was like, I want to literally feel nothing. Like maybe if I wouldn't be that way, but I was like, I want to pretend like this is not happening. Like so,
yeah.
I was like, you need to keep pumping me until I like do
make
not
me
feel
numb.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she came in. So she came in at 3:18. I'll never forget it because there's a giant clock in front of my face, and woke me up to like do the last little pill or whatever. And she like lifted up the sheet and then like put down the sheet really fast and like ran out of the room. And I was like, I like borderline wanted to like open up the sheet.
Yeah, but you're like,
reach down, but I was like, I don't want to do that. And I like Andrew was sleeping on the little couch thing, and I was like, wake up. I was like, come over here and wake up. I was like, something's going on. Before I know it, all the people came in.
Yeah, they come in. Yeah.
My doctor eventually shows up. I call my twins that she can come because she lives in the city, so she was super close. She didn't make it for like the birth, but she made it there like after. And like what I ended up finding out is he had like his head was already like out. And they weren't expecting that because I don't remember why, but they like weren't expecting that. I remember my doctor explaining to me something about his position, whatever. So I still had to push. Like I just remember like what I didn't know was gonna happen that I wish someone would have told me, and I don't know. I never had birth before, so I don't know if like this is like a normal thing. But I was like shaking, like with the like chills.
Yeah.
And they were saying it's like your hormones will like cause you to shake. Yeah. And I was like, am I scared?
It's the sudden drop in hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was just shaking because I was scared. And then eventually I was like, why am I shaking this badly? And like, you know, and I was like, am I like terrified? And then they're like, they explained it was like my hormones. I remember thinking it was weird I had to push. I don't know why. I just was thinking like if he's like so small. I also had convinced myself like, because I had always seen like these little tiny, like super tiny babies like in NICU pictures or stuff. Like I just like, I don't know why, because I knew he was like, I was a lot further along.
Really long.
Yeah.
Did you think he was just going to be like the size of your hand?
Yeah, I kind of like convinced myself, like, because they kept being like, he's super tiny and just needs to gain weight. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, he was just skinny. Yeah. But like, I remember saying to my doctor, like, right before I was about to push, or like that night when my water broke, I was like, at least he's not going to like fully look like a baby. I don't know why I said that, but I had convinced myself that like all the pictures I had seen of babies before they were like, further along, that he just like was gonna look like that for some reason. And my doctor shot a look at me so fast, and she was like so worried that was like what I was thinking, obviously. And she was like, Marist, no, like I need you to like prepare yourself, like he's going to look like fully like a baby. You're gonna see your baby. And then I was like, oh. And I don't know why I thought that. I think it was probably a survival thing that I just convinced myself I was like earlier along, or like, I don't know. I just was not trying to believe that I was like that far along. Yeah. And then like, I didn't look at him when they first pulled him out, because they asked me like, well, what do you want me to hand him to you immediately? Or do you want us to wash him off? Do you want us to put clothes on him? And I had said that I want you to wash him off. I didn't want to see him like not alive and bloody. That was my thought. Yeah. Because I was like, I agree. I don't want to see the baby like that. And so I had told him to just put clothes on, but my twin was there and she intervened in that decision, which I am grateful for, because she like knows me well enough. She knows that she had a right to do that. She would never like cross my boundaries. But like she was a little bit wiped off and like rinsed off, and Jacqueline is like, no, you're gonna want to see him, because the thing about it is like once you have the clothes on him, you can't take them off because like he's too fragile. And so like you can't be like dressing and undressing him. And Jacqueline is just like, I would hate for you to not get to see like the beautiful baby that you made, like without clothes on. Like she was like, I think you're gonna be like really happy to see it. So she asked him not to put clothes on and kind of talked to me through it. And I was like, okay, yeah, like bring him to me. And so yeah, they brought him to me, and he was so beautiful. There's pictures online. Like my favorite picture is like when he's like straight on, like it's a little bit more, you could just like tell, not, but like when he's on his side, for whatever reason, his side profile, like he looks very like full, and just you could really see his like features in like a really like endearing way. But he had the cutest little ears, and he had like long fingers and feet just like me. And like he was just like long and lanky, and I was like, oh, he would have been just like me in that way. But he had like a bunch of dark hair, and I was like so shocked and happy that he had like, all his hair. And his little nose is like mine, but his like forehead and head is like kind of long, which is like Andrew's. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he's like the little mix.
He's such a perfect mix.
Yeah. So I just like, I felt so happy when I saw him. And there's like a video of me like when I'm first holding him, and I'm just very like wide-eyed and just kind of like looking at him. But then you like see me, like I remember like naturally like going to rock him, and also then I start shaking, and I'm like, and my arms are like going like this, and then like Andrew's having to like grab him. And it was like the weirdest experience, because I like literally I would like forget. Like it's like I say it's the best and worst day of my life, because like nothing will compare. I'm so happy, by the way, that I gave natural birth. Like I'm so happy at that decision. Like it was so much better than I thought it would be. And it did feel like an honor, like getting to birth him and kind of it happening somewhat like whenever it was like meant to. And I just loved that it was like at 333 and that I was like awake for it and stuff like that. But I'll never forget that, like holding him and having like the flipping back and forth between like literally feeling like Andrew and I are in the hospital, like holding our first baby, and then realizing that I wasn't going to get to take him home. And like, that was like so hard to wrap my head around because like you really can like convince yourself that they're sleeping. Because you just don't know. You're not like used to that. Like you're not used to like that. And they just like are so innocent. And I'm just like seeing him in his little outfit, like laying next to me and just thinking like, this is what I see when I see people post pictures in the hospital. It's like them holding the baby and then like the baby laying next to them. And I just like I had to try and like enjoy every minute, but I like knew that we were going to get him cremated because I wanted him in an urn and I wanted to like have him. But I just was like, I can't believe like that we have to leave the hospital and just like never see him again. And like know that like he was getting cremated too was like horrible. And I don't know. Honestly had never thought about that decision that much. Like in general, like do I want to be cremated or buried? Like I hadn't thought about it that much. My only thought was like I want him with me. Like I bring him everywhere with me, or like a lot of places with me, like in his little urn. And I remember like, I mean they're like his ashes are like in a little bag and then the bag's inside the urn. But I remember like I didn't want to get a super tiny urn because like I wanted like, I specifically looked this one up online, but it like I wanted it to be gold. In my head I was just like you'd be surprised, like I'd never shot for urns before, which is also so ridiculous. The things that I had to do in the hospital related to my baby's death, like the death certificate, like calling the funeral homes, finding out that like every funeral home to get him cremated is $2,000 something. I'm like, this is just like insane. I'm literally shopping for urns, like in the hospital bed, like wanting an urn to come to the house as quickly as possible. Like what engraving do I want on it? Like it was such like just like a complete like mind fuck. Like I could not like wrap my head around it. But I like knew I wanted to print out his name and I wanted it to be visible. I just knew I wanted it to feel big enough to hold. So I got like the bigger gold urn. And then what did I put on it? I think I just put he was 3 pounds 3 ounces and 18 inches. And it's so cool because all of his numbers, like the 333 when he was born, mirrored his 3 pounds 3 ounces, like 18 inches, like everything like went down to the number 9, which I thought was so cool. And I gave birth to him in room 9, like he was born on the 9th.
Oh, wow.
And there's like so much like numerology around it. Like 9 is literally the number of like old souls, and it's the number of like completion and enlightenment. Like 333 is literally the number of being like guided and carried out by angels. Like you're being guided by like ascended masters and angels. Like everything was like so beautiful. Like I had him when I was 33, so like those threes came in. Like I did a whole post about that too, and like that. But
and you see it everywhere.
And all of it's significant. Like you're saying, like the milestones on those holidays. It's almost like you got to celebrate those holidays with him.
Yeah,
you know, like you never have to say that you didn't get that. You have that with him while he was with you. That's really beautiful.
And I think too, the other thing, like in hindsight, like I feel it showed too, like just the overwhelming support that I got, especially through Facebook. Like I know like maybe not a lot of people like our age are like super active on Facebook, but I always have been. And I've like overgrowing my business, and like most of the people that I like worked with were always like 10, 20 years older than me. So a lot of my audience is like people older than me. And so that support is going to be even heavier because they're like have kids, or like, you know, it's not, they kind of know, or they want to kind of like parent or comfort or whatever. And everyone was super supportive like through his journey. And then I just remember like the outpouring of love that was like so amazing, like from everybody. Like when I was sharing like in real time, like I'm so grateful for, because I remember someone commenting and my dad pointing it out because my dad was kind of like monitoring everything. And someone commented and they're like, I don't think I've ever seen a baby as loved, like a child as loved as like Harvey was loved. And I just remember feeling that like, oh my gosh, if I had not been sharing, my whole pregnancy was like, it was never about me being pregnant. And I don't say that to ever shame anyone. Like I want to be so clear on that. Like, if you're a first-time mom and you're pregnant and your whole entire pregnancy journey is about like it's the end of your chapter as like a 2-person couple and you're about to have a baby and you're soaking up every last second before you start life as a mom, I think that's beautiful. I think whatever you feel about like your pregnancy is like your pregnancy. I just remember for whatever reason, I was never clocking things in that mindset. It was never like it's my pregnancy or like my whatever. Like I was like, I felt Harvey, like I felt his soul so clearly that I literally felt like I knew him. And I think it's the only reason I was able to talk about him the way that I was, just even before things were wrong, like before anything went wrong, to where all these people felt like they knew him. And I just am like, that's the most beautiful thing ever, that I have all these people like loving my baby that they've literally never seen. Like, and I don't know when people announce names and stuff, but it was like the second I announced, I was like, here's my baby, here's his name, I'm 12 weeks, and like, here we go. Like, everyone's like coming along.
Yep.
And so that gave me a lot of peace, I would say. Like, and I hope that my story can like encourage people too who like want to share and maybe feel like maybe don't know how or aren't used to being like vulnerable. Like, I hadn't had any examples of that. Like I said too, like Harvey's shower, when I thought about this in hindsight, I remember because I called at heart, like I'm a graphic designer and I have a marketing company and I'm a photographer and like I'm very creative. And so like my twin knew that we could take our own photos for whatever. So we had made Harvey's shower sign be like, my vision was it was a cowboy shower, but it was like Harvey's cowboy shower. So I called it Harvey's cowboy shower. I designed the gold letters. Andrew and I did a little like cowboy cowgirl photo shoot. We made this giant sign that was there. Everything at the shower was like Harvey, 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 whatever. It wasn't Marist baby shower. It wasn't like anything like it was like a guy girl thing. We had like games that resembled drinking games, but they were baby games. Like it was just like a big party for Harvey is like how I saw it. And I'll never forget, right after I posted all the pictures, so many other people in my feed like had baby showers that weekend. And it was the first time in my brain that I saw people saying like basically what would have been Marist baby shower.
Right.
And
like Lauren's baby shower.
Yeah. And I was like, I remember calling my twin and being like, oh my God, everyone's going to think I'm so weird. I was like, is that so weird that I did that? I was like, I treated it like a birthday party. You know, like once you have like kids with birthday parties.
I didn't think of it like that at all.
Party.
No.
But regardless, it didn't matter. I remember thinking that in the moment. But I was like, that's so beautiful now because it's kind of like his only birthday party that I'll ever get to have for him. And it's just everything was about Harvey. So that kind of like in a way too helped me feel like, well, he had, it's ridiculous, but I felt like he had such a full life, like even though he was never born. Yeah. And I do want to say this because I personally believed from every second, because I'm considering like where I was at before I got pregnant, not knowing where God wanted me and what I was doing with my life. I'd had my marketing company for 10 years, bored at it, like good at it. I can do everything in my sleep that I do. I still get referrals all the time because it's just established. But then like I just felt like I was like going to, so then I thought it was motherhood, right? So I thought I was like preparing for motherhood, and then that didn't end up being like what it was, right? So then I was like maybe I can like help people with Harvey's story, right? So maybe something will come of that. And it was easy for me to like connect my past skills and kind of life to be like, oh, this could make sense for me. I'm used to speaking. I'm a writer. I'm like, there's all these different avenues where I could share a story and help people. And I like love the thought of doing that. But one thing I will say for everyone listening is that is not the purpose of everyone's story. And a lot of people do feel super, super offended if you tell them like your baby died because like you're supposed to help other people heal. So one thing I would encourage, I want to make sure I say, is just don't ever tell anyone the reason why their baby died. It's not your place.
And you're not even saying that either. You're saying this happened and this is where I've I've taken this and I'm going to go with that. That's not the purpose. It was out of this came this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And like when people would tell me like God has a plan, I made a whole reel about this where I went off.
I watched it.
But it was like God has a plan, and he was like, it was specifically
No one wants to hear
like,
that.
You
No.
birthed something. You just may not be ready to nurture it. And I was like, who the are you? And the other thing too is I think a lot of people will love to give like, I don't know, like they step in, but it's like if I don't deem you like my mentor, my life coach, if I have not given you that title, it's not your place to say that. Right. So don't just leave comments like that. You're thinking you're lifting people up. Like I didn't even know this person, but it's like it's just not helpful to someone. Like every single person. Like if you lose your baby and you just feel like that's the darkest, most horrible thing that you've ever gone through, and like there's no reasoning for that, and whatever, and you can't find reason. Everyone should leave you alone.
Okay. Yeah,
like that. It's your time and your place to figure that out later for yourself. And if anything, you can push people away from finding hope. I think if you try and make them see the lighter side too soon.
Yeah. I agree. I wanted to talk about Little Dragon before we wrap it up, because I know this is something is really, really, really special to you, and I want to hear the story.
Yes, and I want to hear the story.
Yeah. Okay. So we have Little Dragon. You can hear.
Oh.
He has a little rattle. So basically, I thought he was an alligator when I got him, actually, because I just saw the little spikes and I didn't know that he had wings. And Andrew's a gator fan. So Andrew and I don't get each other presents. It's just, we've never done that. We're not like, that's not our love language. So in all the years we've been together, we've never gotten presents. But for Christmas, we decided that it would be cute. I'd seen someone do this. I didn't come up with this, but I'd seen someone, they knew they were having a baby the following year. So the couples like separately bought little gifts to fill up a stocking, gave the stocking as a present to the husband and wife. Each of them got a stocking of little gifts that were meant for the baby to wear throughout the year. So you could get anything from like 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever. It was whatever you wanted to do, but it would like fit in a stocking. So Andrew and I went to Target. That was the only place we were going to look. Like we're just like, whatever, like you pick out 3 things, I'll pick out 3 things. And I saw this like big dragon and little dragon combo set like at Target, and they were like hugging, and I had to like cut them to like separate them, and the little one rattles and the big one's just like a bigger version of it. But I was like, I got that because I was like, oh my gosh, I want Harvey to be able to have like the little dragon and see his dad. I was like thinking like I want him to see his dad having the big dragon and see himself and his dad, and like feel like they were bonded in that way. So that was the start of Little Dragon. And I don't know why, but like we never really got attached to Big Dragon, but like Little Dragon we just loved, and we like brought him with us anytime we would travel. So like the first big one was when we went to Mexico. And well, that was the only one, I guess, like while we were pregnant. And we're like, we want Little Dragon to like soak up all the energy of like Tulum is a very spiritual place. And we're like, we want him to soak up the energy there. But we just like, we had him on the plane. It wasn't just like we brought him casually. And like, he was like literally like.
He was like sitting in a seat.
Yeah, like riding with us in the plane. Like he was always on the bed with us. We said goodnight to him. We said hi to him. Like we always like talked to Little Dragon. And then he's wearing this little like, I guess it's like a little like evil eye like protection necklace.
Yeah.
And the girl, we just like bonded with our server at Ilias, which is such a fireplace. If you ever go to Tulum, it's just a vibe. And we went there late night, even though I was like pregnant. I was just like, we're gonna like, I wanted the full experience where they like do the napkins and like all the things. So the server gave me this, and she was like, it's protection for you and your little baby. And I was like, oh, it's so cute. So we put it on Little Dragon as like a necklace. And then Little Dragon, I already kind of knew that there was like some spiritual element to like dragons, but we looked it up because we look up everything, right? And I'm like super like interested in all that kind of stuff. And so we just learned like how dragons are like spiritual protectors, and we're like, that's even better. Like now we have Little Dragon and whatever, and Harvey will always protect him. So I always would rattle him, you know, and explain to Harvey like who Little Dragon was. And he just was such a part of our pregnancy, like the whole remainder of the time. And it was like definitely like a buildup of like when Harvey and Little Dragon were gonna meet. And so now like when Harvey didn't make it, like Little Dragon has still been so special, but we keep them together. So like we have the urn, and then we have Little Dragon, and then we'll always put Little Dragon's like little arm like this,
so sweet.
like holds on him. And when we bring them places, Andrew literally buckles them in
So
the
cute.
in the back seat of the car. Like, we don't have the car seat, but he like buckles them into the car. And, like, we don't, like, pack them away. Like, we like, keep them out, and they get to ride with us. And we don't take them places if we're, like, getting out of the car and leaving. But when we're, like, driving to Georgia to see my family, or, like, if we're traveling, like, we went to go visit my friend, like, we just bring Harvey and Little Dragon everywhere. And that's what I call them. Like, sometimes I'll say Harvey's Urn, but it's Harvey and it's Little Dragon. And I hold them all the time. I hold them every single night, and I talk to them. And I don't know, it makes the urn cuter too.
Can I give you one more story about that I because I had that specific bracelet during my
God, it is.
my baby shower for Lenny. And my grandmother is from Thailand, so there's a Buddhist, it actually is very spiritual in that there's a Christianity meaning, there's a Buddhist meaning, there's a Jewish meaning, and then there's even Hindu. And outside of the protection, that red string means that there's a belief in all of these systems that there is an invisible string that connects you. And so when anything enters your life and you have that, it's a reminder that even when the cord is cut, you are all connected because of this story. So you will forever be connected to Harvey and that just is a symbol of a reminder that no matter what happens, and whether your baby is in this beautiful urn with Little Dragon or you took him home or not, he will always be with you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And that's so literal, like the cord.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, I also, the other thing I want to say is that 2 separate people gifted me wind chimes that said in loving memory of Harvey. Literally greatest gift you could give somebody. If I could tell anyone, like, if someone lost someone, I was not a wind chimes person, and I even had anxiety the first time I heard them blowing because I was like, we're going to annoy everyone with the wind chimes.
Oh, it's
like,
beautiful.
But I cannot tell you, like, how many times they're not moving, and I walk up on the front steps and go to walk in the house, and they just start chiming. And we're always like, hi, Harvey. And, like, and we can hear them when we're laying in bed. And, like, it's just, it's sweet.
Your healing story is another thing that we obviously are running out of time for, but I screenshotted something that I wanted to read from your excerpt for people who may be just starting to go through this journey, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
That really hit me. Long story short, my body is healed. There's no definitive reason why Harvey lost his heartbeat abruptly and without signs. And we are excited to make another baby. So you haven't lost any hope there. At my 6-week postpartum appointment, I was happy to be reunited with my OB and sharing how the last 6 weeks have gone physically and emotionally. She was happy too to see how I've been processing. We were able to ask if there was any updates from testing that took place and whether or not there was any reason, right? And I think when people who have lost, they always look for a reason. And you said that the testing didn't show anything other than the simple guess of the placenta. At the end of this, you said, how fortunate that they were wrong in my case. But you know what? I told my doctor. I said it then before I deliver him, and I still feel this way. This will always be the plan for Harvey. I knew that the second they said he was gone. This was his plan. If it wasn't, he would be here, period. Mm-hmm. And I really do feel so grateful to have been the one to carry him. I love him so much, and I would do it 100 times over, even if I knew this was my only way. We are opening to holding space and choosing, and for Harvey's little brother or sister to choose us next. And I genuinely have zero fear about any bad pregnancies. I don't think it was my body. I think Harvey was meant to leave early, and this was the way to happen. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love, like, there's like such strength in the fact that you're like, I don't need to go down these roads anymore. This was his story, and we love him, and my body is going to do what my body's going to do. And I have faith in that process. And for anyone who's going through it, my sister had a stillborn at 24 weeks. That was another, like, it was just abrupt. And we were pregnant at the same time with our firstborns. And it was really tough for me then because here I am moving forward and she wasn't able to. And so I think for my sister and people that are in your situation with IUGR or anything, like, just the fact that you were able to be so present, and I think even in your journey, like your journaling, essentially, like your real-time updates, like, you were able to be so present. Mm-hmm. And that is the lesson I take out of everything, is that you cannot change the past and you cannot predict the future, but you are here and now. And I really thank you for being here, because there's a lot of reminders today that I was like, wow. Yeah.
Thank you for reading that and for saying that. And I do just want to say like a couple things about that. I know we have to wrap up, but especially if anyone ends up going and like looking at my Instagram, I posted like from starting from being in the hospital, not even counting the IUGR post. There's one day I posted and it was like 50 or more posts of real time, like raw, and they're not like, I think they're really beautiful, but a lot of people told me that they're like really beautiful. Like, I cannot tell you the number of messages I got. There's a woman, this one always stands out, but she had a stillbirth in 1984, and she literally was like, I did not heal from my stillbirth until I read your post. And people kept telling me to keep sharing. And what I want to say is that, like Courtney words it as like it was super cathartic for me, and it like really was, but I kind of equate it to like how when musicians are like, I like had to write that album to like get over my heartbreak sort of thing. That's literally like what came out. Like, I've always been a writer, and I'm like already started writing a book that I had paused when I got pregnant. Well, definitely once like things took off, but like literally it was the most, I call it a lot of times like sacred grief. Like when you're first going through it, I was in my own little world, in my own bubble, and I had so many feelings. And you'll see in a lot of my posts, like I'm like talking about, like, I'm sharing my thoughts in real time while painting the picture of like what I'm going through, whether it's the first, when having to see strollers, or like cleaning up all the flowers after like whatever.
The cabbage leaves, that was a big thing too, right? Because a lot of people, and I was talking to Courtney in a different episode, that people don't realize, like, you still have afterbirth. You still have like your milk's coming in and all of that. Yeah. Like, that's a lot of like realized, like looking in the mirror, the fact that you could even take that picture. I was like, that is probably the bravest thing, because I think I would just crawl in a hole at that point. And you were like, you know what? This is what's happening, and I want people to see this.
Yeah. And I love it so much, because I truly could not go back and write that now. Like, all the things that I wrote, like, I could not write them in the same way, because they would just flat out be in hindsight. And everyone, you just do see things differently in hindsight. I didn't know what the next hour or 2 hours or next day was going to look like. Like, me not being able to leave my house, like just the different things. I just, like, it would overwhelm me. And I'm just not someone who can suppress my emotions. But it was so, I literally am like, when people say that grief is like love with nowhere to go, like, that is what was happening. But I was like, alchemizing it is the way that I think about it, into something where it had a place to go, like a post, where it could then like be like channeled out into like a post. And every time I did that, it helped me just like it just helped me get it out of me. So and I think what a lot of people like enjoyed about that, or seemingly enjoyed about it, was just hopefully being able to identify emotions that they felt that maybe they didn't have words to. So I just want everyone to know, like, when I was sharing those, especially if you weren't following me in real time, if you're just looking back, those weren't things that happened in hindsight. Like, all 50 of those posts were like the first 2 months. And what the other thing that was great about sharing too is that, I'm not saying everyone has to share, just if you want to share, I want to encourage you, because it also gave me room for the days that I was finally laughing or feeling good again, or putting on makeup, or leaving the house to do something. I didn't feel ashamed of sharing about that too. Yeah. Because I knew that like no one was like just seeing me like at the beach 3 weeks after I had Harvey, like smiling and being happy. Like, that wasn't the first time they heard from me, like since the stillbirth. So it gave me kind of room and freedom to share for myself cathartically, but also to like not feel what I think a lot of people could feel, shame, and like finding joy and happiness again, because I kind of like shared both in tandem and like held both of them like hand in hand, like as I moved through it, which is one of the reasons why I think I'm so open so quickly to like getting pregnant again and seeing how that plays out. Well, but
I can't wait to see that journey.
And if anyone's wondering and you're listening to this, we're almost exactly 3 months out. Just for
and you were
going
to wait until 6 months to start trying again, correct?
Yeah, well, my doctor told me I had to wait 6 months.
6 months. Okay.
And then I said no. And then she said okay.
You're like, no.
So it's more of a suggestion, but she did say that like mostly it's usually because they're concerned about people's like emotional well-being going into another pregnancy.
But you're just way further than that.
Yeah. And am super excited. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I'll preface that. Like, I don't know genuinely how I'll feel the second I find out I'm pregnant again, if I get pregnant again. But I do know that at least going into it, I don't feel a fear, because I feel like Harvey's journey was his and his alone. And if I did have another stillbirth, I think I would feel the exact same way, because I feel like that was the greatest gift I've ever been given, to be able to experience being pregnant.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to become a mom. That was my biggest fear I had when I was little. And I am a mom now. And so my biggest fear is now like debunked. And just because I'm like mothering him in the spiritual sense, like I'm still a mom. So I'm so grateful to him, because he made me a mom, and I never thought I would have that. So I'm just happy about that.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I can't. Oh my God.
I love you.
I was emotional the entire time. I was like, I gotta stop crying. Thanks for tuning in to Truth Moms. Remember, mamas, the truth starts at home.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us reach more moms like you. And plus, it's free.
Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and we will keep dropping those truth bombs. Bye.